Hello, my name is Brady and welcome back to the Historical Songstress. This is the channel where we go back in time with the things we sing and the things we do. This is another Things We Do video, and today we're back in the kitchen cooking and baking some things that we're going to take to gatherings this Memorial Day weekend. These recipes are classic favorites, but where I found them is a vintage treasure trove of recipes. So come along for this day in the kitchen with me. You my little helpers. So where I found these recipes is really the star of today's show, in my opinion. When I was a teenager, my dad knew that I loved cooking and baking, and he went to an auction sale and they were about to throw away this recipe Rolodex. So he saved it for me, and you can tell that it's spanned a lot of years. There are recipes that are written on a typewriter in here. And I mean actual typewriter on index cards. There are recipes that are handwritten. There are recipes that are tore off of food containers and advertisements. So it's really special. It was somebody's collection of recipes. And I have a feeling it could have been from a church because some of these recipes serve an insane amount of people. So yeah, that's where they came from today. All right, so the first recipe we're making today are cereal marshmallow squares. And these are essentially Rice Krispie treats, but they were a new thing when this recipe was written down in 1958. And it is addressed as a letter. It comes from Wampum, PA, and it is addressed to Kathy. Kathy, I thought I had better send you the recipe for that card. It is kind of hard to remember. I sure hope you are all well and that Mary Jane's cold is better and your dad's knee. On the other side, honey, Lily. And this recipe, it does not call for Rice Krispie cereal. It actually calls for puffed rice. So I was able to find that at my local grocery store, Fresh Time, and I'm really excited to see how that tastes. I think it's going to be more natural and it's more true to Miss Lily. So I'm prepping a few things first. It's imperative that you grease your pan before you start because once you mix the marshmallows and puffed rice together, your mixture is going to start to harden. So you want to get it in that pan ASAP. So Miss Lily from our letter recommended a double boiler, but I don't have one. So I'm just going to use a pot on the stove. I just have to be very careful that it doesn't get too hot and burn the marshmallows. Short lunch break. I have some pork cooking in the crock pot. You may have seen it out defrosting earlier, and it is going to be barbecue pulled pork. It's a tenderloin. I throw it in there with some smoked paprika and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce. Turns out great every time, on high for 4 hours or low for 6 hours. And while that's cooking up, I'm going to start making our coleslaw. And the recipe for the dressing comes out of that antique recipe Rolodex. And it actually reminds me of the recipe that my great-grandma used to use when she was making coleslaw. She had me in the kitchen every time I was over. So I learned some of these things from her, and we don't usually do them today in our coleslaw. Okay, so we are actually going to be using a food processor today for this dressing recipe. I know that's a bit modern, but I just think it's the right tool for the job, and I am an absolute baby when it comes to chopping onions, if you must know. Not to mention, just a little history fact for you, the food processor was invented in 1963 and it didn't become popular for household use until the early 70s. So we were doing without a food processor for a long time in human history, if you ask me. I absolutely love mine. I use it all the time. All right, it's time to pulse. I am gonna give it a little taste test just to see. Got a carrot in there. Wow. I am so glad you decided to join me here today. All the recipes are in the caption for your convenience. You can double them, triple them, cut them in half. They're really flexible recipes, and I can't wait to share these dishes with my loved ones this weekend. And keep an eye out for a vlog coming your way for Memorial Day. I'm actually singing at a field service tomorrow. I'm singing an Armed Forces medley and the national anthem. It is a ceremony to remember those that lost their lives fighting for our freedom today. So extremely important thing to do. I highly encourage everyone to get to some sort of Memorial Day service or field service this weekend. It is why we're able to enjoy what we have today.